Well, good morning from me here now. We've been a little disorganised. I don't know what's happened to this lovely thing, but somehow it's asking something different on that. So I need to find out how to turn this on. There we go. The creation point. I want to do a little history about the creation point. So let's see how we go. Here we go. Oh no, I'm going to do Bible reading first. I listened to a pastor from the USA a few weeks ago, Robin Myers. You may have been in Grace's course when we did one of his books. And Leslie and I and a few others, we went to hear him when he was here in Melbourne. And it was interesting. He made an interesting statement that has stayed with me. He said, when we read the Bible as we know it, it is like listening to a keyhole to other people's conversations. And I thought, what an interesting way to put it. Some of us, and certainly in the past, we said, well, we were actually reading what God wrote, and some people still think God used his pen to write what's there. But if we think about it as listening to the keyhole, this is a quote from Paul, who was the first writer. His writings were the first ones that were ever written about whatever the Jesus phenomenon was. And about 50 current era, he wrote them. And this was from his letters to the Corinthians, which was a small church. We call it church, but it would have been a spiritual community, probably still calling itself followers of the way. And he said, when I was a little child, I talked and felt and thought like a little child. Now that I am a man, my childish speech and feelings and thought have no further significance for me. At present, we are people looking at puzzling reflections in a mirror. The time will come when we shall see reality whole and face to face. At present, all I know is a little fraction of the truth. But the time will come when I shall know it as fully as God now knows me. Now, if I take that into my life now, I can hear what he's saying is there was a point where our consciousness was about physical reality. And gradually, as we walk through our journey, our spiritual journey and our life journey, things change. Somebody says something to us, or we read something somebody has written, or we have an experience that shifts the way we see our world, and the way we see each other, and the way we see the world. And that's the way I'd like us to think of Paul's letter today. It's like shifting and moving from a past. So let's have a look at one aspect of the past in a minute. How many people have been in nature recently? Well, we're a bunch of city dwellers, aren't we? Although where I live, it's pretty full of nature. We have favourite places. For some people, this will be the thing that really just switches them on. They go and they sit by the water and suddenly the world is okay. It's wonderful. For other people, the beach is it. Talk to Jim, he'll tell you. Talk to my daughter, she says if she can't go near the sea, she can't exist. She lives in the country, but never mind. For some, it's the mountains, the grandeur of those high peaks, and something happens in them when they're there. And for some of us, there's a sense of knowing the divine. We know about God when we stand in our favourite form of nature. Geraldine will be here in a few weeks, and we know that that is her place of meeting God. Have you ever stood under the night sky and looked up and said a prayer? Because it is so amazing. Now here's the man standing looking up at the stars. Now if he had lived some years and years, or actually a few centuries ago, he would have said that he was looking at Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the sky. She reaches over the earth and she protects the earth from whatever's out there that might bring harm. The goddess of the night sky. If we were in the Greek culture back those times, we would have had a pantheon of gods, each one with their particular thing that they looked after. The Egyptians had the same thing. Nut was the sky, but there are all of the others, and if you had a look at either of those cultures in the past, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, were they there before humankind were there? Or did the people of the time create their gods? Then we come to this fellow. This fellow is probably familiar to all of you who had any association with Sunday school when you were yay high. He was old, ancient, wise, lived up there, and was watching. Yeah? Watching everything you did. That was tough times as far as I was concerned, because you all know I don't know how to be a good girl. So, this one God created all things in this idea of God. He loved us and he judged us. That seemed to always be the bit I got about being judged rather than being loved. But loved us was there. He did or did not answer our prayers, and he had the power to forgive us if we asked rightly and behaved according to his rules. I've underlined the masculine, you'll notice, because he was always male. My great-grandson, who's 9 years old, has already told us he does not believe in God. And I wonder what God he does not believe in. I suspect it's this one. But then I could look at all of you and probably you would tell me you don't believe in this one either. But then, somewhere along the line, something happened that brought a big change to that idea of the God in the sky, the old man, the wise man, the father that we always wanted, the big father that was beyond failure, not like our own dads who sometimes fell down here and there for what we wanted from them. God, the big father, supplied all needs. Yes, that was the theory. Then something happened in our world. Some people like this were brave enough to climb into a container and be shot off the earth into who knows where. And we got a view of where we live. Ooh, where's God? He's supposed to be up above the clouds, isn't he? Whoops, big change. And we went even further than this. This is the Milky Way galaxy. If you ever wanted to feel small, you might have a look at this picture. Here we are. The world feels so huge that we're in this little bit of it. And yet, out there in space, there's more. Now, you know, there is a theory, but you've heard of the theory of the Big Bang. It's like, let's step outside of spiritual and faith. The Big Bang is the scientists' theory of all things. But I was looking about that on the web last night, and there's some disagreement. It's like, oh, well, okay. We still actually don't know the answers to that. But we know we're there. And of course, Juno is busy exploring Jupiter. Wonder what we'll find out about another planet. So after that came some other people. Now I've presented some of these people here before, but I still will continue to do it because I think what they give us is absolutely amazing. Now, here in Unity and in New Thought in general, of course, we know and we ascribe to the idea that our thoughts create our reality. That we are happy or sad sick or well, confused or at peace, in line with the way we think. Now, I believe that thinking sits on top of belief. Does that make sense to people? We believe things. We believe the sun is in the sky. We believe the chairs will support us. We believe Reverend Sylvia is an amazing lady. Of those beliefs, from those beliefs, our thoughts are created. So it's not just the way we think, but it's also what we believe. One gives rise to the other. Now, Candace Pert, was a scientist, and she discovered through her research that the emotions that we hold in our body actually affect every organ of our body. So if we are in love, look out, cells, it's a great time. If we are in a rage, look out, cells, it's going to be bad news. And there are all of the things in between that affect how our physical body works and behaves itself or decides to get not well. Yeah. So that was Candace. She has passed on now, but she gave us a great gift. Then we've got Bruce Lipton. He was a biologist. And he discovered, he was teaching biology at a university in the States and doing research at the same thing. And he suddenly found out that what he was teaching was wrong. So he had to quit his position at the university. Because what he discovered, unlike they say, what was the first thing we said? Your DNA rules who you are. Whatever you got from mum and dad. And he found out that is not so. He found out that actually the way you think, the way you believe, is messaged to the cells of your body that then interact with your DNA to switch bits on and off. So he's now a very popular speaker around the globe. I went to hear him, Jim and I went to hear him last year or the year before, I can't remember. But he comes here regularly, so he's no stranger. And he's, I think he's now on the straight out spiritual path. I don't think he's a biologist anymore. Does anybody know? I think he gave up biology, having discovered that he's a writer, of course. Then we've got Larry Dossey, Dr. Larry Dossey. How many people might have read one of his books? Yeah. Prayer is Good Medicine, One Mind, and Recovering the Soul. I haven't read the last one, Recovering the Soul. I think that's his latest. But he's presenting us with not only does prayer work, whether you believe it or not, whether you know you're being prayed for or not, it works. One mind is an absolute mind blower. Because one mind speaks of the demonstrations, the actual signs, if you like, that show us that we are connected. He says there is one mind, and we're all to tap into it. It's not like we have this private mind. We actually are tapping into. That means not only are we tapping into something we might call divine mind, but we're also connected to each other via those minds. So we can see that happening. Now, it's not a, excuse me, it's not a positive view example, but you know the footy crowds of late, where you've got this suddenly a whole bunch of spectators seem to go crazy. It started by one or two people, and suddenly half the stadium is in uproar, and we have a mass. The footy people certainly have a mass problem. Soccer, is it? Isn't that football? Depends on your brand. Depends on what country you're from. I know that certainly in England they have a problem with it, but we've got it happening here now. You know, how is it that Is everybody, is there 100, however many people go mad at once? Yes. Do they all know they're going to do it before they get there?
Yes,
I doubt it.
I do.
Are you involved in it, Bill, Bob?
I know soccer people, they do that.
Oh, okay. We could probably go to some other, if I had time, or you might tell me, where else do you see somehow these things catch on?
Well, protest marches.
Protest marches definitely do. Anything else? Anywhere else? Well,
Religious conventions
Yeah.
in large auditorium.
yes, yes. We read something recently. Jim was telling me about a paper somebody has written, an academic paper about people in Paris and Madrid queuing up to go to a group yoga. Queued for hours and hours and hours to go to a free group yoga. There was such a oneness that happened just in queuing together. And they all went in, had their yoga class. Unbeknownst to them, the yoga class, while it was free, it was actually put on by a women's underwear company that sold yoga clothes. So you know, look, underneath there's money, but for the people, it was an experience of oneness. Something happens when people get together. So if you haven't read Larry Dossey's work, well worth doing, in my opinion. Who's heard of Dean Radin? Who's heard of the Institute of Noetic Sciences in the US? Yeah. They're doing some amazing work. And entangled minds. Of course, I think Dean is a physicist. We have the whole theory of entanglement where things are not separate, they are connected. We have, and in his book Entangled Minds, he sets it out really clearly, and that's what noetic sciences are about, looking at the new ways that we are connected. We still would really like to be private, wouldn't we? Because it's safe. Nobody really knows what's going inside. I can stand up here and talk to you and nobody knows that I'm scared silly. But what if we're not? And all that's not there is a willingness to be aware. Who's heard of the Heart Math Institute? I couldn't fit this on the screen, so I'll read this to you. No, that's not it. Here it is. Heart Math Institute. New and exciting discoveries are reshaping 150 years of scientific thinking about our relationship to one another and our planet. Today, for example, scientists say human beings are intimately connected to the Earth by a range of frequencies that directly influence the heart and brain, and that we all contribute to a global information field. Studies confirm we can intentionally cultivate, increase access to our intuitive capacity and heart's intelligence and unfold who we truly are. That's not bad from a scientific institute, is it? There's a crossover happening. The ideas that were part of the heritage of unity, the heritage of all of the New Thought movements, is being brought to us, confirmed to us by research here in our 21st century. Here's Barbara Marx Hubbard. Who's read Barbara Marx Hubbard? Wonderful lady. I think this is her latest book, Emergence. And she says, the universal human, she says there will be a new form of human. The universal human is connected through the heart to the whole of life, evolving consciously and helping to co-create a new kind of spiritual path, something we've never experienced before, but which is perfect for our own time. How many of you know young people who wouldn't come here in a fit? Why? Why wouldn't they come?
We've all got grey hair.
We have. They wouldn't come because we've all got grey hair.
Exactly right.
Okay, what other reasons might
Because
they
they've
not
got a
come?
fixed idea of what church is.
They have. Yeah. What other reasons? Yeah, Rob.
Quite a while, it's been the attitude that if you think about any religious feelings, you really should be in the nut house.
Yeah. They are not coming. They are not coming. I remember my 9-year-old great-grandson. I don't believe in God. Where would he go? Where would he go to? Why would he come to somewhere that uses the word? And what does the word mean? Because I think even in this room, if I asked you all to tell me what that word means to you, I'd get however many different answers. If I went to the local Pentecostal church, I'm clear I know what I would get. It's right for those people. It's not right for me.
How did he derive his answer?
Huh?
How did he derive his answer?
My great-grandson. I haven't got a clue, one. I don't know. He just came out with this one night. My granddaughter was trying to calm him down. And a little story. She used to, when her daughter, who's the mother of this 9-year-old, she had her problems as a child. And so Kerry, my daughter, used to wrap her in angels as she went off to school, trusting that that would keep her out of trouble. So she was talking to young Kurt and trying to calm him down and suggesting that he image an angel to help him. I think that's when he came out with it. I don't believe in God. But I can talk to hundreds of young people from his age up to at least Brett's age, and they would tell me they don't believe in God. It's just a stupid word. It doesn't mean anything. And here we are at Unity Melbourne. How can we find young people? Bob's right, we've all got grey hair. Those of us who haven't, make sure that we cover it up.
In Madrid, they believe in Oisho.
Oisho.
Yeah, Oisho's the brand of the ladies' underwear.
Oh.
That's very much like Osho,
Osho, yes.
which attracts people. And they never mention religion, they never mention India or anything else in connection with the yoga. It's all about Osho. It's belonging.
Belonging, it is. And I'm clear for the people who are attracted to the Pentecostal and their various versions are looking for certainty in life. And their answers give them certainty. And it's the brave souls who come here who say, hang on, we could explore. You and I could explore. I found these images in a magazine and they fascinated me. What do you think fascinated me? If you went to an artist and asked them to paint your portrait and they gave you this, what would you think?
They're on drugs.
The energy.
The energy.
Expressed in a colour.
Yes. And the head, they don't end at their head skin, you know, the skin of their head. Suddenly, we have got artists saying, hang on, there's something else. Here's another one. She doesn't end at her head. She is connected beyond that. What do you think the artist is trying to tell us?
What dominates his mind?
Yeah. Can you read your life down
Silent.
there?
Design.
Oh, design. Design your life.
Be whatever you want to be.
All right.
Yay. So put your head in there. So the universe has changed from the time when we had our Father in the sky. I have to tell you, when I first, that started to break down for me, I was distressed for a while. Where was my power? Where was this amazing, powerful being who was looking after me? I had to let it go. Who would look after me now? My father spent a long time in the war, so I was a child who grew up without that presence. So the universe has changed, and we have to ask, if the creation point is not God created, and God continues to create and look after me, where is the creation point now? It's you, and it's me. You create worlds, and each one of you has a different world to me, and I have a different world to you. And we're created in every moment, right here, right now. You are creating it right now. You never stop creating it. It can't finish until perhaps you let your physical body go. And then, who knows where you might be. Each one of us is part of the evolving consciousness of the world. Remember Barbara Marx Hubbard, who said, we are evolving. We are evolving. You are evolving. So, how many people remember Margaret Mead? She was an anthropologist, and one of the things that always stuck with me was one report she made of a culture of people on an island where they all believed that the way you got pregnant was the women must bathe in the sea at a particular moon phase. It never failed. The power of belief never failed. When the women wanted a baby, they went night dipping at the right time of the month, according to the moon. And Eric Butterworth says it is consciousness that sets all limits of life, if there are any limits. So, my question is, here we are, this little group of people, in this amazing place here at Unity of Melbourne, in Melbourne, Australia. What are we creating? What do we wish to create? What do we believe we can create? Magic happens when you give your belief to a project. And Paul finishes off, in this life we have three great lasting qualities: faith, hope and love. But the greatest of them is love. And thank you for greeting each other with our song of love. Because when we say love is in this place, we are talking about you, each and every one of you. That's what you bring here. You bring yourself, you bring your beliefs, and you bring your love for each other in the community. So thank you for that. We are creating here. What are we creating here at Unity of Melbourne? How will we see it? What will it look like? Can we do magic?
Yes.
When will we start?
Now.
Hey! Is that the last of my slides?
One more.
One more? Oh, such an amazing opportunity. Right here, right now. Thank you, everybody.